Picture this. You stand before a door you've always wanted to open, one that leads to purpose, to love, to the life you believe you were created for. Your hand reaches for the knob, trembling with anticipation, but you stop. Not because someone told you to, not because it's locked, but because something deep inside whispers, you don't deserve this. And so you turn back. Why? Why do we, brilliant, spiritual, beautifully complex beings, engineer our own collapse right at the edge of breakthrough? Why do we undermine relationships we long for, sabotage opportunities we've prayed for, or return to habits that hollow us? The paradox is piercing. We crave healing yet cling to our wounds. We yearn to be free but sabotage our release. Like Paul in Romans, we cry, "What I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do." Is it fear, shame, a secret addiction to pain? Or is there something older, more ancient, lurking beneath the surface? You've asked God for answers. You've read the books. You've recited the affirmations. And still, you self-destruct. But what if the enemy isn't out there? What if it's a shadow within? Let's go deeper. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Self-sabotage is not merely a matter of poor discipline or moral failure. At its core, it is a war between your conscious desires and the unresolved, unseen parts of your psyche, your shadow. These are the wounds you deny, the guilt you suppress, the fears you spiritualize but never face. You bury them beneath piety, productivity, or pride. But they do not die, they wait. Augustine called this concupiscentia, a disordered love where the will bends inward against what is true and good. Kierkegaard called it despair, the sickness unto death that results from not becoming your true self before God. Jung called it the shadow, the repressed part of your soul that, when ignored, governs your downfall. The danger? You think you're sabotaging a project, a relationship, or a goal. But what you're actually resisting is transformation. Because real change costs everything false you believe about yourself. It's not enough to want the light. You must wrestle the dark. And until the ego surrenders its throne, the soul will continue to implode. But what happens when that inner fracture remains unaddressed? Left unhealed, this fragmentation seeps into every part of your life, quietly, insidiously. Like water beneath a foundation, it erodes you from within. You tell yourself you're lazy, but it's not laziness. It's a soul paralyzed by a shame narrative you've inherited but never questioned. Maybe from a parent who withheld love, a church that confused holiness with perfectionism, a culture that taught you your worth is earned, not given. Your mind, shaped by repetition and reinforced by neural patterns, begins to resist anything unfamiliar, even goodness. Psychologists called it cognitive dissonance, the internal discomfort of embracing what contradicts your core beliefs. If you've believed for years that you are unworthy, even love becomes threatening. You push away joy, sabotage peace, delay action. Why? Because the brain seeks familiar pain over unfamiliar healing. And in a world that glorifies hustle and hides its wounds behind filters and platitudes, this self-sabotage gets misread as just not trying hard enough. But deep down, you know it's more than that. You feel the split in your soul, the ache of a life unlived, the haunting sense that you were meant for something more. And you were, but you can't just will yourself into wholeness. You must rebel. To heal, you must do something radical, counterintuitive to everything culture and even parts of religion have taught you. You must turn toward the very shadow you feared. Carl Jung believed the path to transformation begins not with perfection, but with integration, with acknowledging and embracing the wounded, rejected, sinful parts of ourselves, not to excuse them, but to understand them. Think of Christ's wilderness. There, alone, face to face with the accuser, he was tempted, not with vile sins, but with distorted identities. If you are the Son of God, that's the voice behind every act of sabotage. Are you really who God says you are? To rebel against self-sabotage, you must reclaim the truth. Not a sanitized motivational slogan, but a theological reality. That your worth is not earned, it is bestowed. You are imago Dei, made in the image of God, scarred but sacred, broken, yet beloved. You must learn to sit in silence with your inner wounds and bring them, not hide them, to the cross. This is not weakness, this is war. And like Jacob wrestling the angel, you won't walk away the same, but you will walk away free. Here is the deepest truth, one that echoes through scripture, psychology, and your very bones. You were never meant to save yourself. The greatest lie of self-sabotage is not just that you're broken. It's that you're alone in that brokenness, that no one sees, that no one comes. But Christ enters the very places we hide, not to shame, but to redeem. The gospel doesn't deny the shadow, it descends into it. The cross is not the erasure of your pain, it is God's embrace of it. Paul Tournier once said, "The person who has never been wounded has nothing to offer the world." Your wound is not your disqualification. It's the doorway. When surrendered, it becomes a place of communion, a place where grace meets grit, a place where healing is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of God. You don't overcome self-sabotage by becoming stronger. You overcome it by becoming known. Let yourself be seen, not by the masks you wear, but by the God who formed you from dust and called it good. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop running from your weakness, you'll find that it's the very place Christ chose to dwell. Thank you for reflecting with me today. If this video meant something to you, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, stay curious.